Hello, my name is John Locke, and I'm an English philosopher and empiricist. I did a lot of work with theories related to knowledge as well as systems of government, more specifically liberalism, and that people have the right to equality. So first, I know you guys may have a few questions for me in regards to my ideologies surrounding empiricism, and that's why I'm here today, all the way in 2022, to tell you guys all about it. So the first question may be, what exactly are my views and why do I have these views? So I'll do it like this. I want you to think for a second. Try to come up with a new color or a new animal. I'll give you a second to try. I don't think you can. Why is this? Because your new color is probably just a variation of a color that you've already perceived. Or your new animal may have the horns of a bull or the wings of a bird or a dragon or even the stripes of a zebra. These concepts are not new to you, but rather a result of things that you have already experienced. This is what I believe. Knowledge is not innate, but rather we gain knowledge from things that we experience in life. I basically aim to challenge the ideas of reason proposed by people like Descartes. Propositions are not innate. If this were true and we are simply born with the ideas and propositions, that would imply that a baby or an infant, an idiot, or anyone for that matter, would simply be able to perceive these propositions immediately. And that is simply not the case. It must be true that an idea is a mental image, and we gain these ideas from either sensory or reflection. Reflection would mean prior knowledge, gaining this idea from things that we've already perceived in the past. We remember and we reflect, and this is how we get this idea. Or it can be done through sensory, which is a direct sensory simulation from seeing, observing, hearing, and so forth. So this is how I would divide it and differentiate. And this is how we come up with ideas. It is not something that we already have. It is not through reason, but rather through sensory and perception. That will be the answer to the first question. Now, for the second question, if knowledge is not innate, well, how do we acquire this knowledge? How do we gain information? How do we get there? Now, I believe that the mind is a tabula rasa, and what this is basically a blank sheet. We start blank, we start with nothing, and when we are brought into this world, and as we move through life and gather information through the form of sensation or reflection, this is how we acquire this information. However, I want to make it clear that we are still born with faculties to receive and abilities to process or manipulate the information that we access throughout our experiences. And I would refer to them as the operations of the mind. And these operations would be perception, thinking, doubting, believing, reasoning, knowing, and willing. And through these different operations, we're able to interpret the information and thus have or gain knowledge. And just to go a little more in depth into how we acquire this knowledge, I break things down by introducing both simple and complex ideas. Now, complex ideas are a component of simple ideas, and these simple ideas are the materials of all our knowledge and are suggested and furnished to the mind only by one way: sensation and reflection. When the understanding of whatever simple ideas we gain, once we understand and perceive and process it, these simple ideas have the power to repeat, compare, unite them, and then that's how we get our complex ideas. So our simple ideas start off with what we perceive in the world, what we experience, the sensory and reflection, and then it can be broken down into complex ideas. Now, the final question that you guys may have for me is to explain secondary and primary qualities and the paradox of Bassett's. Now, a good friend and teacher of mine, named Robert Boyle, was the first to introduce the term secondary and primary qualities. And both of us believe that primary and secondary qualities are referred to characteristics of the physical world, but what separates the two is their psychological effects. Any object within the physical world that has the ability to create an idea is what I would define as a quality. Now, the primary qualities are ideas that we can attribute to things within the physical world, like rest or motion. But the difference is that secondary qualities are the ideas that do not correspond to anything physical, but rather psychological, such as temperature or taste. Now, with the paradox of Bassen's, it will be able to further explain secondary qualities. Now, you would imagine that something such as temperature would be a primary quality because things can either be hot or cold in the physical sense. But I want to challenge you with this paradox. Now, if you take 3 basins of water, one, we'll call the first basin A. It will have hot water. Basin B will have cold water. And basin C will have warm water. If you place either hand, one in basin A, the hot water, and one in basin B, the cold water, you'll obviously feel the difference in temperatures because it's a physical experience, you would say. You feel the difference in temperatures, this is obvious, and this is what will happen. Now, if you were to take both hands out of the hot and cold water and then place both hands at the same time in the warm water, basin C, something strange will happen. Or is it? So the hand that was previously in the cold water, the warm water will feel hot to this hand. And the hand that was previously in the hot water, the warm water, will feel cold to this hand. Now this goes to show that the temperature that you're feeling is due to the person experiencing the temperature and not so the physical temperature. Okay, it has nothing to do with the physical temperature, but more so on what the person is experiencing or had experienced before. So this is how I would explain secondary qualities. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I appreciate you guys listening. I hope I was able to help you to better understand my ideas and my theories. So thank you and have a blessed day.